much of what you're about to see has never been public before.
Now, turn off the cameras.
We are being lied to. Body bag is unzipped. Whatever it was that died in that craft in 1947 was literally right here.
There's even a plane up there. That's not what we're seeing, though. Dude, it's moving. There it is. I see it. It's clearly moving.
New Mexico, the land of enchantment. It was here, in the summer of 1947, that one of history's greatest mysteries was born, when an object allegedly crashed into the desert outside Roswell, an event that many witnesses and researchers believe involved an extraterrestrial spacecraft, recovered bodies, and a decades-long government cover-up. Today, we're returning to Roswell to interview a leading UFO expert, uncover the full story behind the incident, and search the skies ourselves in pursuit of the truth.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
There's been a flurry of new UFO sightings in the town that has become known for its close encounters. There is so much strange activity in the skies above Roswell, New Mexico, that the whole town is out capturing the sightings on tape.
Most of the objects come directly overhead. They can come from any direction.
But these new sightings have left some townspeople with a scary thought. Now that strange things seem to be happening again, could this mean Roswell is some sort of magnet for alien beings?
It's a picture of an alien-type creature, and they claim it was taken in 1947 in Roswell.
And I saw something pass by and my camera shut off. I couldn't start my camera up again.
Many of the objects, however, show themselves for a long period of time, up to 18 minutes, such as this one, sighted on Memorial Day. It seems to be hovering, but look at the moon. Whatever it is, it's definitely moving. Whatever they are is truly one of the great mysteries of our time.
Before you leave office, will you let us know if there's aliens? Because this is the only thing I really want to know. Would you ever open up Roswell and let us know what's really going on there?
So I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
Your wish has come true.
Obsession is now available to watch at home. I wish Mickey Freeman loved me more than anyone in the world.
With exclusive bonus features.
In the summer of 1947, the United States found itself gripped by an extraordinary wave of reports unlike anything it had experienced before. Only 2 years had passed since the end of World War II. The Cold War was beginning to take shape, and advances in aviation and rocketry fueled speculation about what might be possible in the skies. On June 24th of that year, private pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 fast-moving crescent-shaped objects near Mount Rainier in Washington. Newspapers quickly coined the phrase "flying saucers," igniting a nationwide fascination. During the weeks that followed, hundreds of similar reports poured in from across the country. Whether these sightings represented misidentified aircraft, atmospheric phenomena, classified military technology, or something entirely unknown remains debated today. But the public atmosphere of 1947 set the stage for what would become the most famous UFO case in history. Roswell, New Mexico seemed an unlikely place for history to unfold. A relatively quiet ranching community, it was nevertheless home to Roswell Army Airfield and the elite 509th Bomb Group, the only military unit in the world capable of delivering atomic weapons at the time. The surrounding countryside consisted of vast, sparsely populated ranch land where unusual aerial objects could easily go unnoticed. During the weeks surrounding the famous incident, newspapers throughout New Mexico and neighboring states carried numerous reports of mysterious lights and unidentified objects in the sky. Although none of these reports conclusively established extraterrestrial activity, they contributed to a growing sense that something unusual was occurring throughout the American Southwest. The first events connected to Roswell unfolded on the Foster Ranch, operated by W.W. Mac Brazel. Following a powerful thunderstorm sometime between late June and early July 1947, Brazel discovered an unusually large debris field spread across his grazing land near Corona, New Mexico. He later described finding lightweight metallic material, rubber-like strips, foil, tape, sticks, or beam-like pieces, and other fragments unlike anything he had previously encountered on the ranch. Recognizing that the country was already captivated by reports of flying discs, Brazel eventually informed Sheriff George Wilcox, who contacted personnel from Roswell Army Airfield. Intelligence Officer Major Jesse Marcel and Counterintelligence Corps Officer Sheridan Cavett then agreed to investigate and accompanied Brazel back to the site to examine and recover the material. Although no well-documented contemporary eyewitness account exists of someone actually watching the object strike the ground, later researchers collected testimony from individuals who believed they had observed unusual lights, heard explosions, or encountered evidence consistent with a crash. Some residents recalled hearing a loud blast during the night, while others described seeing a brilliant object streak across the sky. Decades later, additional witnesses claimed that a second crash site existed separate from Brazel's debris field, where military personnel allegedly recovered a largely intact craft and its occupants. The mystery deepened dramatically on July 8, 1947, when Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release announcing that personnel had recovered a flying disc. Newspapers across the United States immediately carried the remarkable announcement. Yet within hours, the story changed completely. Brigadier General Roger Ramey displayed debris in Fort Worth, Texas, telling reporters that the recovered material was merely a weather balloon. The original announcement was effectively withdrawn, and the incident faded from public attention. Decades later, however, the U.S. government acknowledged that the weather balloon explanation had not been entirely accurate. The debris was instead associated with the then classified Project Mogul, a balloon program designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. For many researchers, the admission that the first explanation had been false became one of the strongest reasons to suspect that additional information might also have been withheld. The reports of recovered alien bodies did not appear prominently in the contemporary 1947 record, but emerged through witness testimony collected years later. Former mortician Glenn Dennis claimed that Roswell Army Airfield contacted him about obtaining small, hermetically sealed caskets and preserving damaged bodies. Dennis later stated that a nurse from the base described seeing several small humanoid bodies before she was transferred. Other witnesses interviewed by UFO researchers likewise claimed that military personnel recovered non-human bodies from a second crash site. These accounts have never been independently verified, and critics have challenged aspects of the testimony, yet they remain among the most influential claims supporting the extraterrestrial interpretation of Roswell. The government's subsequent explanations only intensified public debate. In 1994, the U.S. Air Force concluded that the debris recovered near Roswell most likely came from Project Mogul. 3 years later, it argued that many later stories involving alien bodies could have resulted from memories of anthropomorphic test dummies used during military testing in the 1950s, combined with recollections of aircraft accidents and recovery exercises. Skeptics generally regard these reports as the most plausible explanation for Roswell. Believers, however, point to the government's changing narratives, the classified nature of Project Mogul, and the inconsistencies among official statements as evidence that the complete story has yet to be revealed. No individual became more closely associated with the Roswell incident than Major Jesse Marcel. As the intelligence officer who personally recovered the debris, Marcel participated directly in the military investigation. Decades later, after retiring from the military, he publicly stated that the material he collected was unlike any conventional aircraft or balloon wreckage he had encountered during his career. He maintained that the debris displayed unusual physical characteristics and insisted that the material shown in the famous Fort Worth photographs was not what he had originally recovered. His interviews, particularly those conducted by physicist and UFO researcher Stanton Friedman, played a pivotal role in reviving public interest in Roswell, beginning in the late 1970s. Today, the Roswell incident remains one of the most thoroughly examined mysteries in modern history. There is broad agreement on the basic historical sequence. Unusual debris was recovered near Roswell. The Army initially announced the recovery of a flying disc. The explanation was quickly changed, and the government later acknowledged that its original explanation had concealed the classified Project Mogul program. Beyond those documented facts lies a landscape of witness testimony, conflicting recollections, disputed evidence, and competing interpretations. Whether Roswell ultimately represents an extraordinary misunderstanding, a Cold War intelligence secret, or evidence of something far more profound continues to be debated. More than 75 years later, the questions first raised in the New Mexico desert have never entirely disappeared.
So, we're in Roswell, New Mexico right now. It's kind of crazy when you visit Roswell because everything is alien themed. They've got aliens welcoming you to hotels, aliens on the signs welcoming you into the city, UFOs everywhere, just lots of extraterrestrial themed businesses and restaurants and everything, like right there, yeah. The Frontier Motel. And the statues you see too. So there's aliens everywhere. And that's what's interesting, why we wanted to come here for this portion of what we're doing. The Roswell incident is probably the most infamous alien incident in American history. And a lot of people think it's hokey, like a joke or a hoax. But according to modern day government people that have spoken out, like in the documentary Age of Disclosure, they actually, according to these insiders, recovered 4 individual distinct alien bodies from the Roswell crash site and area, which is insane to think that they actually found 4 alien bodies. But we're here today. We're gonna investigate the area, do some sightseeing, and get in the alien. Look at that right there, alien car wash. And the UFO on my thing. That's funny. And then tonight in this area, we are going to attempt CE5 to have a close encounter of the 5th kind in the Roswell area, which I don't know if I've ever seen anyone really do. Exciting, eh?
Very exciting. I love aliens. I love talking about the extraterrestrial beings. And it's so mysterious because, we don't know what's out there. You think ghosts are mysterious because we don't know much about them, but this is otherworldly beings. So, the universe goes on and on and on. Who's to say that there's not something out there?
Yeah. I like get that burritos alien right there. They even got aliens selling burritos. Look, there's an alien with a burrito. You see that? I fucking love that shit, man. Look can you zoom in over there when we go by? It's Domino's, an alien waving a Domino's flag. Look, I'll drive by real slow. Yeah, it's just everywhere around here. God, look at this. Saucers, flying saucers, they're everywhere, dude.
Look at that alien smoking vape.
Alien vapes, let's go. This thing just says alien on it. It's just a little thing that says alien. Oh, the Roswell Daily Record, like the old newspaper, is pretty cool. I bet they were the ones that reported on
the Roswell Inn.
Oh yeah, check that out. The Deluxe Inn. God, I love it, dude. Yeah, look, here we are, the alien McDonald's, and look at the alien Dunkin' Donuts. Should we pull in? Should we go in? Or do you want to go to the museum
Go to the museum first. Oh, well, we gotta go there.
Dude, what the hell?
One of the must-visit places in Roswell is the International UFO Museum and Research Library. So that's where we're starting off our day here in Roswell today. As you can see, this is the UFO Museum. I've been here before. It's badass. And yeah, we're just gonna walk around and take a look. Say hi.
A bone specimen. This is a Martian's
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, little baby teeth. All this stuff, all these books.
Think of how many books have been written about aliens over the years and UFOs.
What's up with all the Volkswagen Betters?
I don't know. All these documentaries and movies too.
The reptilian agenda.
This is really cool. I know.
These are replicas of the Roswell materials. That's really interesting. Yeah, and a lot of people have said it was like tinfoil looking. Like this. That looks like what's this picture of Fallout? Really?
It is.
Oh.
I think so.
It looks exactly like him if it isn't. And look at all the cassette tapes and books and film. Get UFO encyclopedia. It's crazy to think that people wouldn't believe in aliens with all this evidence. You know, you can go through over and over and over and over and over. This is what's always creeped me out. Abductions.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying.
Imagine being abducted and you wake up, this little guy's sticking something up your butt. I wouldn't be happy about that. That shit's crazy. No, I don't know. If it's not consensual like that, I feel like we're not gonna hit the same. It's not gonna hit the same. No. Yeah, this shit's crazy. Like, look at all this ancient aliens. It'd be kind of cool, but that.
I wonder if they bring you back on probe. But they just want to take me for a field trip on M game.
Probing's where they're trying to lose me at. 1999, Roswell Art Club, the year Connor Shannon was birthed into this world. My uncle used to have one exactly like that. I think it was that exact one. Archives on archives.
This is all research.
Wow, dude. Look at this. This is all research. Look at all this stuff. UFO spooks governor. They saw a mystery object. 7 police see UFOs over Agile. Let's get all this research too. This is so cool. Like, all these old letters and documents, photos, drawings, how they describe the UFOs. Dude,
and everything in this room is all research documents.
I mean, it's just crazy how much there is in all of these. That's one book, dude. And then look at both of these.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to be able to just like
sit here,
read all this stuff, all these reports and vintage newspaper articles. The ghost light. All right, so now we're going spiritual into aliens. There you go. UFO and the nativity. All this old newspaper articles. It's so cool. Man, you look at this, and this is like what? This is probably like 100,000th of that, all the files and everything that's ever been generated.
And these are just newsletters, books.
It's like Indiana Jones. And then they go down and put the little relic in the. That's what this is.
Yes, sir.
Step. Good. Okay. 5. Wow.
This is interesting. Mother Superior of St. Mary's Hospital noted in her convent's records a flaming object that came down in a curve north of Roswell, shortly after midnight Thursday, July 3rd, during a thunderstorm.
Joe Wilson reporting with now from Chicago. The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucers. For the matter of fact, the 509...
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact.
It's pretty big. Man, it's so cool in here. Just seeing all the history of aliens and UFOs in America, just in pop culture. I mean, all these movies. And then on top of that, all the references in these movies and productions to Roswell. This is the pinnacle of like aliens in America, is Roswell for sure. So right here, these are actual artifacts discovered at Roswell. There's a military fatigue button, meta fragments that, you can pause and read that, but they can't really explain them. Real pieces of site. Are these pieces of an alien ship? And it wouldn't be complete without a trip to the gift store, you know? I love this stuff, man.
So crowded in here.
Alright, we're doing an alien photo booth. It's hella crowded in this bitch. But let's do this. Jesus Christ.
None of us are gonna be in the picture. So we're here right now at the Roswell McDonald's. This is a very famous McDonald's because it's got a UFO, a spaceship built into the McDonald's itself. This is the only one on planet Earth. It's incredibly cool, and if you'll notice, we're walking around outside. They also got plenty of little freaky extraterrestrial friends. I don't know what the hell interterrestrial is. There he is, he's missing an arm. It's like Shaun of the Dead. Oh, he's got an arm off! We got a Space McFlurry in there too.
Like all the weird McDonald's we've been to.
I come in peace to eat French fries and hamburgers.
Oh, I love it, man. Look at this on the floor. It's a little laser show on the floor. Dude, that's so sick. All right, got our order. I was gonna say we got our burgers in.
Burgers?
All right.
Obviously, when you're in Roswell, New Mexico, like we said outside, you got to stop by the UFO McDonald's. As you saw, there's an actual like laser show on the floor. In the playpen area, Ronald McDonald's floating up in the sky with the astronaut costume on. Outside there are murals of Ronald McDonald in space, and as you can see right here, this is the side of the UFO. Only in Roswell. Before our alien hunt this evening and our attempt to communicate, which we're gonna actually take very seriously. I know this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but we had to get fueled up. With that good McDonald's. With that Mackie D's, my friend. Oh, I don't know why I hate it like that. With all that said, cheers, and we'll check back in a moment.
Gotta get one more look at the spaceship, man. I f***ing love this shit, dude.
So, why do you think that the Roswell story is still so interesting to so many people?
Well, it's interesting to me. It's endlessly fascinating. It's a legitimate event, whatever it was, a legitimate event in a real place where the houses and the physical locations are still here. The site where it appears to have occurred based on firsthand eyewitness testimony conveyed to us through researchers over the years. You can still go out there. It's a real place, and I will say to you that strange metallic artifacts have been dug out of the surface, even very recently. But there's a huge multiplicity of people, real military men who had real experiences here. They served their country. They were a part of something that today we still argue about, and I would argue they could not understand when it occurred. And today, here's why it's so fascinating to me. You got hundreds of potential witnesses involved in all this. Guess what we have today that we didn't have 20, 30, 40 years ago when the story started being put together? We have Ancestry.com, we have Fold3.com, we have Newspapers.com, NewspaperArchives.com. You can go back and reconstruct someone's life from obscure phone books that you would never have been able decades ago to travel all over the world and look into. And now we can reconstruct people's lives. And we are finding incredible things about these people who have been part of the Roswell story. For example, the guy who said he was ordered to go out to the crash site, take a look around at the recovery operation that's ongoing, make sure it's going well, the way it should, come back and give the boss a verbal report. Only last summer did we learn who this guy was. In World War II, you know what this guy did? He was a crash retrieval specialist in the deserts of North Africa, going out and retrieving downed German fighters to be shipped back to the United States for scientific analysis. And then this guy is here in Roswell, and he tells a story without revealing that background that, well, I saw the crash site. I figured it was probably one of our planes that went down because of all the silver wreckage everywhere. A very nondescript, kind of flat kind of story. And then I learned what he did in World War II. This is new discoveries last year. Last year I had a burst of incredible new discoveries, and I'll share some with you as we go. But that's an example of why it's still so fascinating, because you have a huge number of people, a lot of moving parts. It's not prohibitively complicated to understand, and there's a lot. It's a rich vein of events with multiple locations, multiple groups of people going hither and yon, doing whatever they had to do as a part of the story. And there's a lot that we can still uncover today. Trust me, we are. But I will point out this little house next to us here, to the left. This long ago was the home of First Lieutenant Walter Hawk, the public information officer who literally gave us the story through the press release. I met him 28 years ago, got his autograph. Wow. Still in an X-Files book today.
That's awesome.
This was the house he lived in on the day that he walked out that front door on the morning to go down to the base, and he's told to put out a press release about capturing a flying saucer. Wow. And then a year later, when he resigns his commission, this is still the door he walks in and out of, and he lived in that house for about the next 5 decades. Until shortly before he passed away in 2006, I believe. Spent almost the entire rest of his life right there. He had a car in the driveway that said Mr. UFO because he was one of the founders of the UFO Museum. And he spent the entire rest of his life living a block down the street from perhaps the last best place where we still might be able to find pieces of a flying saucer with a known provenance.
Jesse Marcel was one of the 2 officials who initially responded to the Roswell debris field. And Marcel would later go on to be one of the biggest pieces to the puzzle that is Roswell. You see, after removing the alleged alien materials and UFO pieces from the ranch property, before heading down to Texas for that infamous photo shoot, Marcel would make a stop back at his quaint home in Roswell before leaving town. According to Jesse's son, Jesse Marcel Jr., who later spoke publicly about this, on that fateful night, his father arrived home late into the evening and awoke his entire family. Why did he wake them? Well, he wanted to show them what he had found. According to Jesse Marcel Jr., the whole family was allowed to look at the extraterrestrial objects, which allegedly included thin metallic foil and beam-like pieces with purple or violet-colored symbols on one beam. Jesse Jr. later stated that his father told him that this material he had recovered from the debris field was unlike anything he had previously encountered, and he didn't know what it was. And this is where the line gets blurry. According to some reports, Jesse Marcel would end up burying some of the UFO pieces beneath a concrete slab outside of the home. It is a known fact that a fresh concrete slab did end up appearing on the property at around the same time of the Roswell crash, but it's unknown if it was actually poured in order to hide pieces of a UFO crash. However, according to later UFO lore, many people believe that those fragments that Marcel brought home to show his family were hidden beneath a concrete patio, walkway, or slab at his residence, either by Marcel himself or by a later homeowner who unknowingly poured concrete over them. To this day, it is unknown whether or not the fragments exist because the area has never been properly excavated.
And pull up in front of the Marcel house. Look down the gap between their house and the next door neighbors. You might just barely catch a glimpse. Oh, I think the Honda Civics are in the way. You might catch a glimpse of a little bit of concrete slab that sticks out at the corner that might actually be the spot where we could find something. Perhaps. Walter Hott, living a block down the street from the intelligence officer. During their military years, sometimes Walter Hott would pull up right here in front of the Marcel house. Major Marcel would come out the front step, hop in the front seat, then carpool down to the base. And I'm going to tell you something. Early last year, I learned something that floored me. You know who was Major Marcel's next door neighbor right here at 1302 in 1947? Oh, this blew my mind. His next door neighbor was the editor-in-chief of the Roswell Daily Record, the guy who wrote this headline.
Holy shit, that is wild.
I don't think anyone knew this. I mean, I've kind of put that out to some prominent researchers, and I'm getting nothing back. Like, oh yeah, we knew that.
Wow.
Imagine the off-the-record conversations held over that fence line right there.
Seriously.
And now ask yourself the question, why, a month later, while Major Marcel and his family are in somewhat mysterious circumstances sent away on a 3-week leave of absence, that during that same time period, the editor-in-chief of the Roswell Daily Record, his next-door neighbor, not only abruptly quits the paper, he leaves town.
That is crazy.
These are matters of historical record.
Wow.
Now maybe he was planning it. He had some other business interest, other newspapers. So,
but of all places here, I mean, they're amongst researchers and people who've studied this story extensively. There's a belief that there could be original pieces from that.
Well, so put it this way. When you go back to the original sources and claims that lead to that potential, the chances are minuscule that there's anything there, and then if there was, that you'd even be able to uncover it. I mean, because we're talking about material, and I use as examples, you know, Marcel talks about the stuff that's no thicker than the foil off a pack of cigarettes. Don't get excited, guys. This is literally the foil off a pack of cigarettes. But it gives you a nice, you know, kind of point of comparison, right? Okay, this stuff, as he told, and I recently had a chance to interview Alan Levine, one of only, I believe, 2 UFO researchers still alive who actually talked to Major Marcel in the late 70s before the TV cameras had started rolling. Marcel told him on the phone, he told me, that there was this thin, impossibly light stuff that you could not dent with a sledgehammer. They laid it up against the wheel well of the Jeep that they had out there and tried to hit it with a sledgehammer. And it wouldn't bend, wouldn't dent. This is the stuff that Marcel talked about on camera over and over in his early television appearances in the early 1980s. The stuff that wouldn't bend, that wouldn't dent. That is different, a different category of material from the stuff that is flexible. And this is some of the paper-backed foil which is used today in aviation industries as they mothball the aircraft here on the old base. But I like it as an example, right? Because you can crumple it up and it has a springiness to it, right? Which is very similar to what the witnesses would describe. But of course they say it folds out without a crease in it, or as Frankie Rowe, one witness said, it flowed like water back to its original shape. You're talking about categories of material that it is not sensible. You can't cut this stuff, you can't burn it. You can't, the beams, the structural members had sort of the feel of, the feel and the appearance of balsa wood, but they knew they were not. They knew it was not balsa wood. That's a point of comparison. And you got the old ranchers out there saying, we took my knife to it. I mean, this is the knife I used to cut barbed wire. I couldn't raise a shaving off of it. Those are the stories that are embedded in the earliest lore of the case, right? We're talking about physical materials that in all likelihood are not going to leave minor fragments and shards. And the only reason they are broken is because of whatever energetic event caused the initial crash, right? So the likelihood of some minuscule fragment being left behind on the kitchen floor, swept out the back door, still, and remember it's lightweight, right? This stuff could blow away in the wind, theoretically. The likelihood of it still being out there, and then at some point later on, Major Marcel comes along, pours a concrete slab, and happens to entrap it. We are getting at smaller and smaller and smaller percentages of likelihood. And add to that Major Marcel said in April of 1981 in a recorded conversation with a woman in his neighborhood, a conversation that was essentially lost to researchers for 20 years. He said, you know, I've been thinking back, I'm pretty sure I poured that concrete slab in 1946. And then 12 years ago, 13 years ago, a month before, Jesse Marcel Jr. unexpectedly passed away. You can get on YouTube, you can watch the video. He's standing right here where we are sitting now with some other researchers and some cameramen. They had gone out to the debris field. It's his first, I believe, his first chance to go. Then they come back to town. They happen to be out here in front of the house. Jesse Jr. had come back and filmed things at this property a number of times over the decades since the story came out. But they were back here, and this moment is captured on film. It's just a great moment. The woman who owned the house at the time, she comes out through that chain link fence gate right there at the front, and she says, "You guys want to come inside?" And they're oh, we don't want to impose. She's like, I know who you are. You want to come inside? And so Jesse Marcel Jr. and his daughter Denise, I believe, was with him. And Frank Kembler, I think, was there, and then a couple of camera guys. They go inside, they go into the kitchen. I've been in that kitchen. I stand in the exact spot where Jesse Jr. posed in the corner, describing what happened right there. It's just an amazing thing that was captured on video. And
that's so cool.
And now turn off the cameras. Carry them. And just inside the office there, that's an old house built in 1904. Just inside the office there, a young 22-year-old junior embalmer named Glenn Dennis was sitting in his office.
Okay, so what's the deal with the funeral home?
Well, so Glenn Dennis is in 1947, a 22-year-old junior embalmer, fresh out of embalming school, working there at the funeral home. I have to say, I never had a chance to meet the man. He died years before I got deeply into this. So I can only speak to what others have said about him and others who knew him. And he comes out around 1989 telling a story of how he was sitting in his office at the funeral home, manning the phones. The flying saucer headlines are in the air. And he starts getting strange phone calls from the Air Force Base. They wanted to know how many child-sized caskets he had in stock and how quickly could he get some more. The idea of the base needing child-sized caskets, that gets corroborated by other witnesses. There are a lot of reasons, I'm trying to be polite here, a lot of reasons to doubt that mortician's testimony. A lot of UFO researchers who are deeply immersed in the case, who tend to cast it aside. The most famous piece of his story is that there was an Army nurse down here on the base where we're headed now. We'll be there in 4 miles at the front gate. There was an Army nurse who, as he tells it, she saw the bodies. She's very distraught about it all. She calls him up a day later, wants to tell him all about it. And she even draws a picture for him of what they look like. Of course, this picture does not survive the years. We do not have it. The problem was he gave a name, then he changed the name, then he changed the name again. And later on, he basically confessed to certain researchers he was lying about someone's identity in his testimony. But researchers by that point had already gone on wild goose chases for literally years, hunting through every single Army nurse who had ever served in the Army at that point in time, and they're coming up with nothing. It's like she doesn't exist. Recent thinking is that she was not an Army nurse. She was a civilian secretary. Her niece came to town last August, and I learned unsolicited new details about her. which strengthens the story. This civilian secretary was an artist late in life. This is just offered to me, and I'm like, what's the one thing that Glenn Dennis's nurse, quote unquote, does in the story? She draws a picture. So her niece is sitting in that chair that you're sitting in right there. We're driving about another mile out ahead here as we're headed down to the base. I'm going to show the family the base hospital, the grounds of it. And so I ask, well, did she ever draw figures? Like beings? No. No, never did. Would have been amazing if she had.
Right.
And there's more to that, but I need to work with the family to get sort of the whole story packaged up. There's no question on this. I mean, it's been published. She's known for having committed.
Oh.
You go into the UFO museum, you'll see a picture of her. You'll see her name. Turns out her name is not exactly right. And it will talk about how sadly she committed. It is often said and assumed that, perhaps there's signs of foul play. You know, as if this is some part of the conspiracy. And until last summer, this was something we had not known. No, she made the terrible choice on her own. I've had hit very close to me. And I do not want to make any one person's tragic, awful decision to take their own life. I do not want that to be used as some sort of fodder to prop up a conspiracy theory about aliens. I don't want that. I don't want to have any part of that. It's so important that we keep these witnesses as people. They are humans. They have families. They experienced something, whatever it was, here in Roswell in 1947. And for some of them, it changed their lives. It stuck with them for decades. Maybe they died carrying it to the grave, unwilling to share it with their family. But they were real people who had real impacts, and they have real family who are still alive today. And that's why it's so important to me to really understand the backgrounds of these people. Because let Roswell be a black box. Let the Roswell 1947 incidents be just this black hole, this sphere. We cannot penetrate it. We cannot see what is in it. But you could learn about what's inside that by watching the particles, their trajectories as they approach it, and their trajectories as they leave it. It is important to take the humans of the Roswell incident and look at their life stories as they led up to this, and then look at how their life stories unfolded later on. From that, we can start to gain some insight into what this event was. Now let us pray.
So, I mean, you had me questioning that. I mean, were there, as someone that's kind of studied the case for as long as you have, are there any people that you believe may have died a mysterious death associated with the story?
There are definitely some mysterious circumstances of that has just been reported. I mean, I haven't come across any of this. I can't corroborate or inform any of this myself. As reported, just for the record, Mac Brazel at the rancher seems to die a little too early for his family stock, the hardiness of his family. He's got a son who dies under horrible and tragic circumstances, apparently also. Again, we need to be careful about trying to attribute too much of this story to that. The sheriff dies under unpleasant circumstances. You've got one of the radio men who later told of how apparently he was sort of involuntarily committed for a time, apparently, to a mental institution. Jesse Marcel III, the grandson of Major Marcel, talks about in a DVD that he produced or assisted with 12, 13 years ago, talks about how his grandfather, Major Marcel, carried these huge burdens. Apparently, he burned all of his medals. He didn't want to remember. He would be distraught late in life at his role during World War II as an intelligence officer helping to plan bombing missions. How many civilians did I kill with my choices? It just ate at him. And, the Marcel family has talked about how that seems, there's more to it than just that he carried these burdens, and some of those burdens seem to be connected to what he was forced to endure, covering up all of the helping, or being the unwilling patsy, the silent stand by while everyone tells the lies about what really happened here. So that carried with him, and not that he died in a mysterious way, but I have to there are mysterious things in his medical records. I'm not sure that the medical records have been made available to anyone in the research community. Certainly not me. But there are reports that 2 years after the Roswell incident, he's basically committed to the sick bay for his entire tour of duty at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. What is that about? Wouldn't, just speculate for a moment, wouldn't it be amazing if literally in a medical record, which is notoriously hard to get because of privacy considerations today, wouldn't it be amazing if it said, oh, just take an example, just let's speculate, held for psychiatric evaluation due to incessant fascination with the flying saucer phenomenon in 1949. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd tell us some things.
Yeah.
You want to see where Mac Brazel was probably persuaded to go back to the news outlets telling a story that sounded like all he ever found was a weather balloon?
Of course.
We're on the base. Let's get out.
Nice. So this was the old base, right? The entrance gate.
Come on. This is the large. By several estimations, I've not done the sort of acreage analysis myself, right? But I've had three different seemingly authoritative sources all tell me that we are surrounded by the flight line of the old Walker Air Force Base, which was its name after the Air Force came into existence. This is the largest strategic air command base in the Air Force when it was shut down in 1967. And the chain link fence right here, this is the north perimeter. Everything on that side, that's the base, and we're gonna go see it all. And sadly, document the travesty. About a month or two ago, the last vestiges of the brick planter walls that lined the front gate were torn down. It stood right here.
Oh, man.
Fortunately, 2 years ago, some drunk driver crashed into it.
Oh.
So I have a giant chunk of about 20 pounds of brick from the front wall right here. It's in the back of the van. But this is the front gate. This photograph was taken from that lot over there. The little checkpoint was right here at the turn arrow. See this concrete pad that we're standing on? That is the foundation of this tower right here. Don't call it a guard tower. This is a latrine. You're standing right on the drainage pipe. The young officer I told you who was the crash retrieval specialist, he's going to walk right in here, presumably. He's going to be assigned his mission. Go out there, take a look, make sure things are going okay. Don't write anything down. Come back, give me a verbal report. That suggests two things. Number one, you're not sending a crash retrieval specialist out to the landing site of some balloon trash.
No.
And number two, it suggests that someone other than him, a experienced crash retrieval specialist, is in charge of cleaning up what's going on out there. Who's here? Who's directing that? And where'd they come from? Right here on this ground. Until about 10 years ago, this building looked like this. See that cluster of trees? It's right there. This building was built in World War II. We have a really kind of an interesting picture from out here in the roadway just inside the front gate of the governor of New Mexico and a couple of generals and like the base commander. They're walking in, and there's a picture looking back this direction. Circa 1947, give or take, at the building that was here. You can make out that little chimney that was on it. Anyway, it's gone today. But it was right here, and it is widely agreed upon that somewhere on this spot, Rancher Mac Brazel will be brought in. You know, it's a little building at the front gate of the base. You know, it's a nuclear armed base. You show up at the front gate, you're trying to sweet talk your way on board. They don't like something about you. They're going to march you into a windowless room, sit you down, and ask you many questions for many hours. Well, they've got a room just for that. And here's my model of what happens here. Rancher Mac Brazel is going to be brought in. I've got this idea. They're going to say, Mr. Brazel, have you ever had any, let's say, weather balloons fall on your property? And he's going to say, yeah, I had one like 3 weeks ago. That's it. That's the story. That's what you're going to tell people. If anybody ever asks what fell on your land, this better be what you describe. Tinfoil radar target kite, a Raywin reflector is what is properly called. Something very fascinating in Brazel's interview that he gives to the Roswell Daily Record. This logical connection only made itself for me about a year ago. He's talking about the eyelets in the paper through which you could run a string to hang this thing below a balloon. But you know what else he says? He says there was no string. if one of these had come down on his land, you see the string comes together, it's in the guy's hand, it goes off. If one of these, the balloon had popped, comes down on his land, it's just drifting across the ground. Eventually that string is going to capture on the cholla cactuses. It's going to abrade over the open rocks and the exposed cliff faces. And eventually it's going to abrade somewhere in its free length and it's going to tear there. It's not going to break at the eyelet, and it's not going to break at all the eyelets. If it's doing that, you have a problem with your eyelets. But if he has had one of these brand new, unwrapped from his fresh, clean brown paper thrown on the table in front of him, and he's handed a tape measure and told, start memorizing that thing. Smash it up, break it, tear it up, bundle it up, memorize everything you can about it. But if he's shown a brand new one, right here,
Wouldn't have any string.
they wouldn't have any string.
So this is like where the cover-up was born, essentially.
You could think of it that way.
Hollowed conspiratorial ground.
Here's another thing. The actual photos. There's no question. This is the only forensic evidence that everyone can agree upon as real in the Roswell case. The 4 surviving negatives of the photos taken in General Ramey's office. 2 of them have Major Marcel in front of a pile of tinfoil trash. Smarter researchers than me, I'll give credit to David Rudiak here, have taken every scrap of what you see in these photos and matched it up piece by piece, facet by facet, stick by stick, to one of these tinfoil radar target kites.
Wow.
And the official story our government tells us, when they go in 1994, the Air Force does this huge investigation of the Roswell case. All they're doing is investigating Project Mogul, the balloon experiments being launched over here at Alamogordo. They find out they can't be bothered to interview any of the veterans who served here in Roswell and participated, except for one. Oh, but they can go find a half dozen of these guys who worked on Project Mogul and get their interviews.
Of course, yeah.
And you know what they all say? Oh, it was crazy. Our tinfoil radar target kites were made by a toy company in New York City, and they used Scotch tape with flowers printed on it.
Oh my God.
We all joked about it. And what does Mac Brazel say in his interview? It had some Scotch tape with some flowers and things printed on it. But what's in the picture with Major Marcel here in General Ramey's office in Fort Worth? No one has ever been able to find any Scotch tape with flowers printed on it.
Right. That is crazy.
So the cover story has a built-in contradiction. It's like they can't keep their own cover story straight. But you know how we can explain it? They find something out there. They need a cover story that the people will believe because the Project Mogul balloons had already flown over Roswell. That's it. That's the story. That's what we'll call it. This stuff that's out here is close enough. We're going to reach for the closest possible thing. If the craft out there had crashed and had a whole bunch of blades and stuff, they would have come up with a story that it was a experimental jet engine, right? But no, it didn't. It had flexible, strange, memory morphing metal, which is exactly what you'd want for a dual-purpose, highly advanced spacecraft and airfoil. Change its shape so it can now have an aerodynamic surface. Just a speculation there. But they find something out there and they realize, we gotta have a usable cover story. Hey, wait a minute, those guys doing those balloon experiments 100 miles to the west, they've got the trick. They've got some of those things. We need 2 of them. We need one to show to a local guy who will tell the story of what he found and the local people will believe it. And we need one to go to a much larger population center with a higher ranking officer where they can take pictures of it. We have one for the locals to believe, and another story with pictures to show the world what we want them to see. And the only thing they need to execute that cover-up is 2 tinfoil radar target kites. One to be put here in front of Mac Brazel, and one at the exact same time to be flown 2 hours due east with Major Marcel from right here out to Fort Worth. They need 2, and somebody goofs, because they pull these 2 tinfoil radar target kites from 2 different batches. And the one here in front of Brazel has Scotch tape with flowers printed on it, and the one that they fly with Major Marcel doesn't.
That's crazy.
Oops.
Yeah, oops, I would say.
Now that's just some theorizing, right? That's just some theorizing. Let me give you some hard facts. Major Marcel says on TV in his early 80s interviews, I was familiar with every form of weather observation device that we used. And what we discovered out there on the land, it was not one of those. I don't know what it was. I still don't know what it was. It was mysterious. He says he knew what all their weather observation devices were. Doggone it, come on, Jesse, why don't you tell us that you knew explicitly what a ray wind target was? Because that's the story that gets put out. And then we have all of these Project Mogul guys and the Air Force investigators saying, well, those ray wind targets were so rare, nobody was using them in New Mexico. Nobody would have ever seen these things. They would have been mysterious. So he probably just had never seen one. And we argue about that decade after decade after decade. That Major Marcel was probably just too ignorant to know what the thing was.
Even though he knows everything.
Know what I discovered last year? Operation Crossroads, 1946. 1 year before these events, Major Marcel is in charge of the briefing room at Bikini Atoll for the first public demonstration of an atomic blast. You know what I discovered? For 61 days, during 2 months in the summer of 1946, for 1 month before the atomic blasts and for 1 month after, 1,500 of these were launched to map the entire Central Pacific upper atmospheric wind currents over the course of 61 days. Marcel is in charge of the briefing room for the weather briefings, the flight briefings, the intelligence briefings for the colonels and the generals.
So he would have known exactly.
Yeah, he clearly would have known.
Put it this way. How could he not have? Unless he's a real dim bulb.
Maybe both.
Was Marcel a dim bulb? People will say that. People have argued about that for decades. But he was just too dumb. You know, and they'll pull their dribs and drabs of things from his evaluation reports to say he's an officer who lacks imagination. Well, what do you know? He gets called an officer who lacks imagination, and then 2 weeks later the Roswell incident happens and he's like, hey, I saw a flying saucer. You know, so it's like, see, I don't lack imagination. You know, people like to kind of create that story. But think about it this way. World War II has come to an end. You have the largest demobilization of armed forces in American history. Men have to be sent home, have to find jobs. We can't keep them in uniform. We don't have enough, they have nobody to fight. The United States military contracts. It is a huge, gargantuan effort to get these men back to the U.S., demobilized, gear turned in, and sent back to civilian life. You have your choice of officers. Major Marcel is given the job of being the intelligence officer of the world's only atomic-capable strike group after World War II. And it turns out that General Ramey, who is in charge, he is the next higher level of command over the Roswell Army Airfield, over the 509th Atomic Bomb Group here in 1947. It turns out that in, I think it was late 42 or 43, during the Southwest Pacific campaigns, the bombers flying out of New Guinea, as the United States continues marching ever closer towards Japan, Major Marcel finally gets overseas combat duty assignment. And you know where he's sent? To the bomb group that 2 or 3 months earlier had been commanded by General Roger Ramey. Roger Ramey is now up at the wing level, if I have my memory right. It might be squadron to group, but I think it was group to wing. General Ramey's going to know something about Marcel's combat capabilities, his efficiency, and his trustworthiness from way back in the war. Way back when they were all hanging out in New Guinea, still trying to gain a foothold against the Japanese Empire. He knows this guy. Ramey knows Marcel is somebody he can trust because he's seen his combat effectiveness. Ramey and Marcel and Colonel Blanchard, they're all there at Bikini Atoll a year before all this. Plenty of opportunity for Marcel to be proven to his authorities and his superiors as the right man for the job. He's still here. He's sent to Roswell. They could have sent somebody else to go pose with the trash, but they put Marcel's name on the press release. And they used him as the scapegoat. This photo demonstrates that what happens here is a real event. It's not a bunch of mistaken, or it's not a bunch of fancy imagination. This find out here, 60 miles that way, actually from here about 65 miles that way, this find is substantial enough the only intelligence officer, the senior intelligence officer of the world's only atomic-capable strike group, is told to jump in a plane, a B-29 no less, one of their primary bombers, with the pocket full of tinfoil trash, and fly 2 hours due east to higher headquarters to Fort Worth. That's a bit of effort to go through.
It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
For a pocket full of tinfoil trash.
Right. To debunk.
And that's a genuine historical fact. The question is how much more he carried. Whether he carried some of this as the cover story plus the real stuff, or whether he only carried the real stuff and then it was all shunted away and this stage prop was pulled out from the cupboard behind General Raymond's office. But there are real historical movements, real events, where senior officers are loaded onto planes and flown 2 hours, a whole day of their life devoted to dealing with this thing. And we're just supposed to believe it's a bundle of tinfoil trash that the rancher had rolled under a bush and that was it?
Clean tinfoil, too.
Oh, yeah. You're supposed to believe that this came from Project Mogul Flight Number 4 of June 4th, 1947. These pictures are taken on July 8th. Here. Can you imagine this stuff laying on this field for 5 weeks? And then you go and you take a picture of it, it's that clean?
And that put together.
Where's that? Yeah, exactly. Where's the dirt? Where's the dirt?
Where's the string?
And there's no string in the pictures. That's been noticed. You ought to have substantial harnessing for a large balloon train, and none of it's there. In these pictures taken in General Ramey's office, what you have is a nearly entire tinfoil radar target kite, and then a few, 2, I believe, exactly, sticks that have never even been attached to these radar target kites when they were unfolded and stood up and made rigid to fly. And you know what he discovered? When these things were packaged and shipped, they threw a couple of extra sticks on top of the package just in case you broke them while you were putting it together. It all screams, this is a brand new piece, a stage prop that's thrown out there. And the contradictions just pile up. Because the only documentation we have of the flights in early June from Alamogordo would say they didn't even use the tinfoil radar targets. And we're supposed to believe it's one of those that fell on the land. And Marcel, we're supposed to believe that his description, his son's description, the other people, the foil, well, that's just the tinfoil radar targets. These primitive people never handled Reynolds wrap before because it wasn't invented till 1947. They didn't know what it was.
It's crazy.
So how can Project Mogul, which wasn't apparently flying tinfoil radar target kites, explain what was found out there, and we're supposed to believe that what they found was just a tinfoil radar target kite, and then they show us a picture of a tinfoil radar target kite when they weren't even using it. So how is Project Mogul the answer? The contradictions pile up.
It's not the answer.
That's a typical government answer if I've ever heard one.
No, it's the contradictions. The contradictions in the cover story are enough to tell you we're being lied to. We were lied to in 1947. We're being misdirected in 1994 when the Air Force does their official investigation. They go to all this effort to learn everything they can about Project Mogul. And they don't bother to interview the men who served here on this base and grant them immunity to tell what they had seen and what they had experienced. See this ground right here? About a year and a half ago, they demolished an old laundromat that had been here, a big steel building. It was just an eyesore. A fine canvas for the local graffiti artists. And you can see that in Google Earth. That's the roof right there. So we're standing right at the end of it. You see this dark T-shape. That was down there in the setting sun where the Air Force Hospital was built in 1960. But the rest of these structures here, these are the shapes of the buildings as they had been built in the 1940s. And we are at the end of this one right here. Its only known photo, and kind of swing around, hopefully the sun's not in the way. Its only known photo is this. We are essentially standing right here at the top of this ramp, which extended off like this. This building goes off this way. The witness who described how he was ordered to lead a detail of men from the hangar over there back here with some bodies being brought for examination. In his description, he uses the term coming up the ramp with the gurneys, which means right here. Gurneys would have been rolled in, walked down a central hallway, turned aside into an examination room, perhaps right here. Doctors, nurses gather around, civilian secretaries taking notes. And a gurney would have been right about here. A body bag is unzipped. And whatever it was that died in that craft in 1947 was literally right here.
So alien
plus or minus 20 feet. I can't be too precise.
But an alien autopsy.
Let's not call it an autopsy. That carries with it the stink of hoax.
What would it be? Alien?
Well, it's a preliminary examination. I mean, you're going to have... here's where I'll take a cue from the Air Force in their investigations of the 1990s. They describe how the base facilities here had no facilities for an autopsy. If they needed to do an autopsy, they would farm it out to a place like Ballard Funeral Home. Make of that what you will. There's no need. These bodies, by the testimony and the timeline that seems to make the most sense, the bodies aren't going to stay here for very long. They're going to be shipped out the day of or the day after they're discovered. Because if indeed they truly are completely unknown biological specimens, they're not keeping them here at a nuke base, especially one that's a green unit that's only just recently achieved full operational status and is still bringing in tons of new personnel. These things need to go to a scientific laboratory of some kind. Wright-Patterson has the aeromedical facility. Maybe they take him to Walter Reed in Washington, D.C. So they're not going to stay here. There's no reason to think that. But what is the rule of evidence? You have to capture the data as soon as you can. Now, maybe they're capturing it in a tent out there. Maybe some doctors and photographers are brought in out there. There's certainly testimony to that effect. But here, at least, get them back, get them here. You've got a medical facility that is in a secure environment, and you want to collect some data. You want to examine what they are. You don't have to do a full autopsy. These are presumably beings that have died in a traumatic way, a crash. You're going to have broken up and dismembered bodies. You're going to have severed body parts. You're going to have the opportunity to maybe, and perhaps they were laying out there in the elements and had been attacked by predators over the course of a few days. So maybe you have burst entrails or who knows, whatever. Maybe they've been torn open by predators. And so you have an opportunity, very likely, to examine the innards of the thing without having to go to the effort of a deliberate autopsy. So you're going to want to get them under good lights and with some, medical equipment around, and, bring in some doctors and have them take a look. And you're going to do that as soon as you can. So that makes sense. But it's just temporary here. This is not going to be the place where you start doing all of your scientific analysis. This place, if for no other reason than it is the only atomic bomb squadron in the world, a group at this time with 3 fully equipped squadrons. This has its own mission. This is not a place for reverse engineering and scientific analysis. Yeah. You're at the dawn of the Cold War. 11 months after the Roswell incident, the 509th Bomb Group is in England, prepping to go nuke Moscow during the Berlin airlift crisis if World War III should break out. They have their own mission to get to, and a lot of new personnel to integrate and perform their training. So there's no reason to think that this stuff is going to stay here for very long unless there's some impediment to moving it, which we might touch upon later. If anybody wants a chunk of the old asphalt driveway, there it is. Take a piece home with you. It's going to end up in the landfill otherwise.
The driveway that alien bodies were rolled up.
Well, if they used the ramp, it would have been from that end. But, maybe here.
No, I'd like to help.
And to be serious, and to be completely serious is that, I don't come at this as a UFO buff. I start as a World War II buff. That's the foundation of my interest. And then later on into the Cold War. And there were catastrophic mishaps on this base. Multiple people killed, all hands lost, accidents, horribly burned bodies that are burned to the point where you can't identify them. You got to come in and do the dental records and things. And that's where that would have happened. This is where a lot of that would have happened. A lot of that preliminary, you got to identify the bodies. They can be shipped on to the correct next of kin. This is still a space that has that as its historic background. And it needs to be respected for that as well. Whatever happened in 1947.
It's really peaceful out here.
What are you doing out here all the time? I've been doing it for free. I never stood on the parade ground to give any part of the tour, so I'm kind of reaching deep into the bowels of little snippets of memory I have. So the original Air Force water tower built in 1942 stood right next to them until 3 years ago. Landmark they tore down. See here the remnants of the old supply depot from World War II. Millions of dollars of jet engine parts after March. If you look on this aerial, you can see how it's all laid out. The railroad track enters, curls around, and then runs down the alley. These are the one on the left, hangar 85, the one on the right, the famous hangar 84.
Wait, so this is the hangar where...
These two with the arched white roofs, they were both built in 1945. The one on the left, hangar 85, was the engine overhaul facility. And the one on the right is hangar 84, where the bulk of the lore, and certainly all of the TV show documentaries have been filmed, but the bulk of the lore says that is the hangar that was used as the collection point for everything brought back during the recovery operations at the crash sites. The material goes inside there, the bodies go inside there, the craft itself on a flatbed trailer rolls inside there.
Really?
And of course, you got to wonder how a very large thing, such as a more or less intact cabin of a vehicle, how are they going to get it out of here whenever they decide to do so? I don't know, but I know what was here in 1947. That hangar, this platform, and 2 sets of railroad tracks. This is the only railhead platform on the base in 1947. 2 sets of tracks went down through what used to be a very creepy alley. It's all been demolished now, though, but the tracks curve off to the right even today. They exit the old base perimeter, join the rest of the rail system that crosses all of North America. You gotta wonder in the summer of 1947, in the dark of night, what was brought up one of these slopes or slid off the back end of a truck that is maneuvered onto a flat car right here. Perhaps camouflage, sent on its way. Just a hypothesis. Where else would they have done it?
That's crazy. I never even considered that sort of a angle of the story. Wow. So this is where it all would have been.
So there are countervailing claims, but this has been widely accepted for some 35 or more years that this was the site. And if nothing else, this is where so many TV shows have been filmed, the documentaries, the researchers going inside. There's some very intriguing thought about a room on the far corner, this end of the hangar, but down there on the far corner, where it was said the bodies were taken.
Down there?
It's down there. Yep, down there in the far corner. Wow. You don't have a door. What the doorways that you see are in the hangar doors. So the hangar doors fold back, or not fold, but slide back into that box. And the giant slot down in the box standing at the end, down there on the corner. They have a room that you can go inside of, and I've been inside it. It's got a weird smell.
Are you serious?
Did the first time I went in. And see all the way through to the end. I wonder if they've done a little bit of tearing down. Right up the neck. 83 years of history gone. Hangar 84 back there has had over just I don't think there's anything screwed up basically as soon as they rolled off the assembly.
God, that would suck.
Well, he's a big bunker.
So first, because I know a lot of people will be curious, and I don't feel comfortable adequately explaining it like you would be able to. What all was recovered from the debris area? Because I know we've talked about the tinfoil type material, but we haven't talked about, at least on camera, like the sticks or the rods.
We have to note that the debris area is its own thing. It is not where it is believed a fully intact craft is coming to rest. And when we say fully intact, it's obviously suffered damage, right? Think about a car crash. You have some sort of, you go out of control or whatever, you spin out and you smash into a pole and you leave your broken headlights and your bumper cover there, but your vehicle has kinetic energy, and so it keeps spinning out and it comes to rest somewhere else. You have two separate involved locations, one where debris is and one where the rest of your vehicle is. Okay, that's what you should think in terms of as this story has been pieced together through testimony. So the debris field out there where Mac Brazel manages the Foster Ranch. On that location, what we have are the testimonies of Major Marcel himself, who was there. He is the man in the famous photos. He's a genuine historical figure who we know is involved in this, and his name is included in the press release. He went there. We also have a second officer who went with him, who has been identified, has been known. He told his story and is the debunker's favorite witness, because the story he tells basically is one of, we found nothing but, a tinfoil radar target kite in a space no bigger than the size of, my living room. I was back home in time for dinner. If you've been there, if you've traveled out there, if you've tried to navigate, you know that's unrealistic. But anyway, that was his story. So we have Major Marcel, who's going to describe it. And then we have later on other ranchers who are spoken to in later decades who can describe the material, whether they handled it themselves or they heard about it from others who did. I've personally spoken to people who knew people who handled the material. And maybe I've spoken to people who handled it themselves, but they either deny such knowledge or tell tales that make me wonder if I can trust them or not. Well, what was it? Well, you got Major Marcel, and then, of course, he famously brings it back and shows it to his wife and son. And I've spoken to a researcher who personally spoke to Major Marcel in the late 70s. So we have threads of connection to this knowledge. Marcel principally describes a strong but very thin metal. It is not the memory metal that you can crumple up. That is not prominent in the Marcel family testimony. What is this extremely thin, extremely light metal that, you let it go and it almost wants to just drift down like a feather. You can't even tell you have anything in your hand. That is impossible to dent even with a sledgehammer. Stand it up against the wheel well of his Jeep and take a 14-pound or 6-pound or however many. The number changes throughout the testimony. Take a multi-pound sledgehammer, smack it, and it bounces right off. It didn't dent it. How is this possible? What is that stuff? So that's about the earliest testimony that he offers. He also, along with his son, and I think confirmed to some degree by his wife who was there, refers to structural members with little beams, and whether they're more rectangular section or I-beam cross section, not 100% agreement on the way father and son of the Marcels describe it. But that's okay. If they were describing it perfectly identically, that means they would have sat down and coordinated their testimony. After decades, you expect small points of disagreement. And there's no reason to think that you couldn't have had both. Debunkers are out there saying, well, he said it was rectangular. His son said it was I-beams. They can't even get their story straight. There's a pile of wreckage. We have a wreck. You're not going to have one type of material. They said it was impossibly strong that you couldn't dent with a sledgehammer. These people said you could crumple it up in your hands. Yeah, you have both. It's the wreck of some sort of major engineered object. It doesn't have one type of thing in it. It has many types of things in it. So Marcel is going to describe the foil that's impossibly strong and these beams that have his wife and son. He attributes the discoveries substantially to them that were like embossed into the stuff, and you can only see it when you held it up to the light just right. Our government says it was sticks of balsa wood that had Scotch tape with flowers printed on it, dipped in Elmer's glue for extra strength. So there are these structural members. You have other witnesses, particularly Mac Brazel's son, who describes very strongly that there was something like fiber optics involved in all of this. And then Major Marcel's son remembers what he calls bakelite, which is not a substance that we use routinely today, and it's not a word that we tend to use. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around everything that it might be used for. It gets described as the kind of stuff you'd use for an old, what I think of as like a ceramic type of telephone, old style telephone you stick to your ear, like if you shattered that, right? Or maybe even something close to a phonograph record if you shattered that. So he recalls fragments of that kind of stuff. And if I racked my brain, I could probably think of a couple of other types of material that are described. Yes, Major Marcel, this is important. Major Marcel describes, he uses the term parchment, which is intriguing. And then there's a description that Major Marcel uses of how some of it was almost like a permeable fabric, like air could pass through it. Okay, that's not a piece of a weather balloon, right? Not certainly not of an air holding envelope, right? And it's certainly not part of a Raywin target, which we're supposed to believe is the only thing that was found out there. So this parchmenty stuff, that's a little intriguing too. There's a number of people who will describe that you have markings on the material, as do Major Marcel's wife and son in their observation, some sort of like hieroglyphics. Now, Brazel mentions this in his interview, which is published in the Roswell Daily Record. I think he is attributed as saying there seems to be like markings on it, almost like the squiggles you'd see on Chinese firecrackers. I have to wonder if that's planted, simply because you have so many of the Project Mogul people saying that all these beams had Scotch tape with flowers printed on it, whether it's flowers or whether it's something else. The concept is that it was this toy company manufacturing things, and because it's basically disposable hardware, they'll just grab whatever tape they can find to affix the balsa wood to the tinfoil, paperback to tinfoil. So you could have a multiplicity of types of tape involved, especially if you're supposed to believe that it was 3 or 4 of these radar targets that were strung together as part of the Project Mogul balloon train. But Project Mogul wasn't using the tinfoil radar targets on those big heavy balloon trains at the time. We have a drawing of flight number 5 of June 5th, 1947. It doesn't use them. They didn't have them. And you want to know where flight number 5 of June 5th, 1947 flew? It came this way, and it got hung up in the air pocket 3 miles off the end of the runway. Corner to corner of the base is approximately 3 miles, and it runs at a northeast to southwest angle. And so if you go, we just saw a couple of planes. We saw one take off, and we saw another puddle jumper come in and land. So heading off that way, you imagine the distance of this base. Well, add that distance on, and then there's a 500-foot long balloon train right off the end of the runway, hung up in an air pocket for 30 minutes. That's a hazard to flight operations. And it was right there. You would have been able to see it, and there was a B-17 chase plane flying circles around it on June 5th, 1947. That is posing a hazard to all of these operations for this Air Force base for at least 30 minutes. Whoever wants to take off or come in for landing, you have a 500-foot long train of objects and cabling that you do not want to tangle your engines and your wing in. You want to tell me a month later that nobody here knew about that balloon experiment that was going on? When it finally left its air pocket, it floated over this base and came to rest 20 miles easterly of here. And according to the senior scientist at the time working on Project Mogul, he and a couple of buddies in an Army truck go out there, they pick the stuff up, they throw it in the back, and that's it. And they stopped at the front gate of Roswell Army Airfield on their way back to Alamogordo. And they showed the stuff to guys at the front gate. You want to tell me a month later, nobody knows what this project is all about, and Major Marcel just gets totally bamboozled when he finds it out on Brazel's land?
That's really dumb. The bodies. I guess just like, could you give me a short
description of them?
Yeah, description.
No.
Kind of. I mean,
I actually don't. No, I don't want to go there. Of the people who were here at the right place at the right time, here, but we have testimony from, whether it's firsthand or whether it's what they said to family. There's not a lot of description. You don't get the aliens are green. You don't get the big eyes like you see on the cover of Whitley Strieber's book Communion. You don't get a lot of that. What you get consistently is that they are small in stature and somewhat oversized heads. That's about as far as I feel really comfortable going. Later on, in later research from collecting the testimony of those who were not here in Roswell at the right place at the right time, but they are in other places throughout the Air Force. other opportunities perhaps to see the hidden trove of craft and bodies, they will give you more description. But I have to have a layer of separation as far as the evidence I'm willing to really plant my flag in the ground and feel confident about, because they weren't here in Roswell. I mean, so let's say they see a vat an alien in a vat at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. What does it have, a little bronze plaque on it? Roswell, 1947. Right. Even if it did, would I believe it? There's several layers of separation now. That's not to denigrate those stories and the research on those topics. It's just, for me, I have to have a little bit of separation, because you have to be able to create a chain of custody to say that's Roswell. That explains Roswell. I will tell you, I've personally collected at least 4, if not more, stories from people who, to a large degree, do not want their stories told. They do not want their names a part of this, the Roswell lore. And they have told me of what father, grandfather, aunt, or uncle had to say about these events. And the stories that I'm thinking of all refer to bodies being recovered from this crash. It had a crew on board. We're not talking about Project Mogul balloon train. And those stories, they just pop up. And when I pry too hard, they back off, clam up. We don't want to be part of it. But this is a thing that's lived in their family. Whether it's my mom was told not to document the bodies coming into the hospital, or whether it's my aunt blurted out an intriguing point in history, I saw the little men, whether it was someone saying my dad was told to cover up a bunch of stuff in the hangar and get it out of the way because that secure space was needed by ambulances coming in from the funeral home, not the other way around. The funeral home ran the ambulance service. Other stories, those were three. See, for like months I've been saying I have 5 families who told me things that all lead to bodies, which are stories that have not been widely told. And then I started thinking back the other day, I could only get to 4. Now with you, I can only get to 3. It's been a long day.
I get it. But I mean, like, people are going to watch this because there are obviously skeptics out there, and they're going to say this whole thing is clearly a hoax. I mean, like, this is all invented. There was no extraterrestrial material.
Well, start here. Ask the threshold question. I am not here to tell you it was aliens. I don't care if it was aliens. What I'm here to do is tell you about the real things that happened. And when you look carefully at the place and the documentation that we have, and you start to count the contradictions, and you realize how the official cover stories aren't even consistent with each other, and certainly don't add up to explain the facts that we have. The threshold question is this: can we prove that what happened here in July of 1947 was bigger than a few ounces of balloon trash? Now, unfortunately, we can't prove, because we don't have photos, we don't have maps, we don't have documentation, we don't have records indicating that convoys of cleanup crews went out there. The only provable documentation that we sit on, that everyone can agree upon, is that Major Marcel and another officer go out to the ranch, they come back with some stuff, and later on he flies it to Fort Worth and they take pictures. Look at those pictures. Where's the dirt? Because the cover story we're supposed to believe today is that whatever it was laid out there for weeks. Have you been out there? And the stuff they show on General Ramey's office, which we're supposed to believe is the actual stuff, not a trace of forensic evidence that it ever laid out there on that land. The threshold question is, was this event about something bigger than a few ounces of balloon trash that you see in those photos? The implications of all the evidence are clear. We are being lied to. But can we prove it? That becomes the difficult part. We can get to the threshold of it. But the threshold question is it more? If it was more than a few ounces of balloon trash, then, well, we can prove that. If we can get admission to that from some sort of documentation that still exists, well, then we can all together, instead of fighting the debunkers saying it was Project Mogul, then we can all together try to decide, well, what was it then? Was it a super Nazi craft coming from South America? Was it Joseph Stalin with his bizarrely mangled children experiments done as a psyop against the American people? Was it horrible experiments conducted with children with progeria? Was it Japanese POWs who had been horribly experimented on by the Japanese during the war, put into some sort of experimental craft? Or was it not from our Earth, from our realm? Or was it just a V-2 rocket with a monkey on board? That has never been documented. Somehow there was one extra flight. Well, we can't even all work together to answer and untangle that, because we still have all these people over here telling us it was a few ounces of Project Mogul balloon trash. And the challenge is, how do we get past that threshold question? Is it a few ounces of balloon trash, or is it something bigger? And we got to prove it. That's what I want to find.
I like that.
Final question.
Are you had another one?
I thought we hit it.
I got one more. Modern day Roswell. You do these tours. Do you hear any stories of people seeing things in the skies in this area?
Oh, here? I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Southeast is the Talon military operations area. I've personally seen, in fact, I just recently went back, looking back to see if the Albuquerque TV station that still had the footage on their website. It's gone now. It's been about 3 or 4 years. But there was a weird looking sort of orange flare type thing that seemed to like spawn another one. It's kind of weird. It's like I can imagine military flares. I've seen them in posters and things in movies, and this is not what that was. And I was on the TV news because somebody captured footage. And then I personally, a year later, looking in the same direction, saw the same thing. Kind of weird, but probably explainable. And my most significant sighting was way out west near Ruidoso. I can't explain it. Weird little star. Me and 5 other guys, we're all seeing it. We're like, what is that? It's late at night. What is that? What is that? And then all of a sudden, shot off in an arc, leaving a rainbow trail behind it.
Really?
What was that? Wow. That was 20, or close to 25 years ago. Eventually, you'll see something. Most people will. You know, now we have SpaceX fly over. When SpaceX is doing its deceleration, you can see the tiny little star specks of the Starlink satellite pieces deploying off, the little blades coming off, and then it's got the whole deceleration flare. I've seen 3 right over Roswell. It is spectacular. As far as truly anomalous weird things here, I'm sure you could talk to people and they'd find it. But a friend who I would tend to trust on this said that Roswell, relative to other parts of the country, is below average in the intervening decades for UFO sightings. Maybe that's based on population. But I mean, I personally talked to an old guy out there in the ranch country. He said in the time in between the atomic bomb test and when the Roswell incident happened, they saw weird things fly overhead. Weird glowing things. Can't explain. That's 80 years ago. But who knows? I've seen a couple.
Yeah, I want to believe, man. This has been
so cool today, dude.
You didn't know what you were going to do when you arrived in Roswell.
No, holy shit,
We were like,
man.
oh, we're just going to go to the museum and go to the alien McDonald's.
Yeah, we were just going to
That
walk
was it.
around and just hang out.
When we were at the museum, we were like, we should do a tour. Now look at us.
Imagine Major Marcel and Colonel Blanchard. I'm having the woo. I'm having the moment where I just transported myself there, because I've never actually stood out here on this basketball court. When I came out of doorway right there. D-29 is right there. I'm on board. I'm sure Blanchard is whispering last-minute updates, instructions into his ear. Here's the latest thing we heard from General Ramey. According to the crew chief, Dave's dream, right there, before they took off, an Army staff car came rushing down Flightline Road from down that way. And crosses this fence line here, goes out to that B-29, and hands up some packages that they have to carry with them as they go to Fort Worth, so Major Marcel can take the stuff to his commanding officer, higher headquarters, General Ramey. And one of the packages that's handed out from that staff car that emerged from down there, wrapped in brown paper, was a large, flat triangle, 3 feet long on a side, 4 inches thick, perfectly rigid, not broken up to pieces. They carried that with Major Marcel and his stuff too. You ever wonder where the tinfoil trash in those photos came from? And the brown paper that's been torn open below it? Right down the road, probably.
crazy.
That's wild. Wow. They carried the stage prop with them.
Right here. Literally. Right out that door. Right down here.
it go behind a cloud, maybe?
Dude, there's no clouds. I'm looking at all the sky right now. It's completely clear. Pull over here through this tunnel. Alright, so I get. Wait, is that one right there? Look.
Where?
Look. It just disappeared again.
I didn't see that one.
Bro, look. Film up there. Look, there's another one right there. It's fucking appearing. Look at that.
I do see it. I do see it. I do see it. I do see it.
Where'd it go? What the f***? It just f***ing vanished. They're not stars. You can clearly see the stars. Well, I'm gonna park this. Yeah, we are f***ing out here.
There it is again.
There it is. I see it. And
it's gone again. There it is again.
There it is. I see it.
There it is again.
There it is. I see it. Dude, you can clearly see the stars out here, bro. It's not a star. Oh my God, you can see the stars, man. Holy shit, bro. All right, I'm tripping though. There it is. It's clearly moving.
What would that be then?
Dude, it's moving in a curved motion. It's going up and then down.
Drive up further, maybe.
So for reference, that's a plane right there. You can see it blinking and traveling. And look, there's even a plane up there. That's not what we're seeing though. So we're driving out to the area where the Roswell debris really fell. And it was somewhere in this area where the Roswell spacecraft would have had that cataclysmic event which led to its destruction and then eventual crash. But as we're driving out here, we're getting closer and closer to the debris field, getting way far away from any humankind. I was looking up at the sky, and I said to Connor, "Did you see that dot?" And it just disappeared right in front of us. It was like bright orange ball, and it just went to black. And then we started seeing it over and over, and it was going like this in like an arch shape right up here, over and over again. And then yeah, after we stood out there, now it's not doing that anymore. So that's really, really strange. And it's interesting because I showed, and we both shot planes to show you what planes look like. No, we haven't even started, but man, does it have there's an energy out here already. Just wait till you get out of the car and you see it. It's like the darkest sky I've seen in years, almost maybe my entire life. And you can see every dot in the sky, man. Do you have an explanation for that?
The light showed up, went away, and like kept coming back and forth, but the lights weren't flashing, so it couldn't have been an airplane. There's no explanation for that.
Bizarre, man.
Very bizarre.
Well, we're headed there now, so about 35 minutes will be in Corona, but we're gonna stop somewhere before then. We're not gonna go into the town. This is the area where the Roswell UFO, where it was. So, yeah. Well. All right, guys. Tonight, we are about to attempt something that we've never attempted before. And we are going to try contacting extraterrestrial intelligence here in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico. So, Connor, if you just show this behind us.
Show what? I can't see anything.
So we're like 30 miles down this back road. There's another 25 miles to the nearest city. We've been out here for about an hour and a half. Not a single car has driven by. But we're not in any ordinary area here in New Mexico. The spot where we're at is approximately the area where that Roswell spacecraft would have disintegrated. So right now we're actually in the wreckage debris field vicinity. We're not right there where it was necessarily, but this is where the craft would have come from, this direction going this way towards Roswell, where according to many the full craft would have actually landed. But we're trying something tonight called CE5, the CE5 method, which essentially means close encounter of the fifth kind. So we're gonna sit in these chairs over here, and we've got a ton of new devices that we've got just for this experiment on this series. We've got a new Geiger counter, different types of radiation meters, a compass, infrared, night vision binoculars, magnetometers, walkie-talkies, a lightning detector,
and our eyes and ears.
It's below freezing right now. It's very cold. But the one thing that's really interesting about this is essentially the CE5 method just entails sitting, listening to a guided meditation, and trying to call out to these extraterrestrial beings. So to start this off, Connor's gonna do the meditation. He's gonna wear headphones, AirPods, and I'm basically gonna kill the lights. I'm gonna mount this camera on this tripod, go full IR, and while he meditates, I'm just gonna sit and watch the skies. Now, what we're hoping for out of this is to see something. We already saw a ball of light earlier, which was unexplainable, but we'd like to see something acknowledge that we're here. Keep in mind, this is an experiment, and this is something we've never attempted before, and it's something that's honestly a little bit freaky. I mean, we're out in the middle of nowhere right now, but all these meters are going to be running too, so if something does happen, hopefully we'll be able to detect that it's happening. I'm not gonna lie, I'm freezing. I'm gonna put my thing on.
I told you.
Jesus Christ. What I really should have had was a cap or something. Oh, it feels a lot better though.
I've always been super interested in aliens, and I personally have had experiences in the past, so I'm really interested to see what the CE5 can do. I mean, me and Colin both know that meditation can take you places, let's see if we can talk to space.
What was your experience?
One night, me and my friend were hanging out outside, and I was seeing this. It was like brighter than all the other stars and a different color than all the stars as well, but it was just sitting there in space. And I'm just staring up at the stars, watching this like glowing orb, and it's sitting there for so long. It was probably like 20 minutes. And then I just see it go from sitting still to, and it made this like noise when it did it too. And I looked over at my friend and I'm like, what the and he saw and heard the same exact thing as me. And I personally believe that was an encounter.
We've been talking about this all day, but I had an encounter like Connor. I directed a film that never was finished. A lot of you might know or remember it, where a crew of friends and I went and spent 3 nights in the most haunted forest on the planet, allegedly in Romania, Hoia Baciu, back in 2017. And we did this ceremony. It was like a CE5 thing, actually, now that I've thought about it, which is really strange, where we held hands with this Romanian witch woman who came out to the circle, and we did this thing for about an hour, and we meditated, and then she said, all right, it's here, look up. We all opened our eyes, and there was a red ball of light in the sky going like you said, no stopping at all, just sharp corners like that, and then it just disappeared, and it was like a glowing red light. And I've told that story for like 10 years, so to see that CE5 is like meditation based is very compelling, especially if you go into the theory of like, are aliens God, are aliens angels and demons, are demons and angels aliens? Did aliens create God? Did aliens guide us? Are aliens God, or is God an alien? Those are actually very deep questions that we ask ourselves a lot, but should probably get to it, huh? Mm-hmm.
All right. So, you got your headphones in?
No.
Connor's going in first. I feel like I need to turn the lights off. I don't know, with the trunk open?
There you go.
Oh shit. Before we begin, we got a steady 30/31 on the Gauss meter radiation. We got a 0.6 on the magnetometer. Lightning detected. That's why it's flashing. There's an electromagnetic signal. And then this device, you can hear it clicking there. Without further ado, I'm going to play Connor's meditation. And stare at the stars. Recording on the binoculars. Wow. Look at that. So while Connor's doing this, I'm just gonna be sitting here using this device to any extraterrestrial beings
or energies, please speak with us. Show us that you're here. We want to speak with you. And you can hear the Gauss meter's really going off down there. Listen. Look at those stars. God, it's beautiful. You know, I've always believed in aliens and outer space creatures. My uncle had a experience on my grandma's farm. They were all farmers, and he swore he saw something out in the field at one point. I've always believed in this stuff, but being here and experiencing this is a totally different thing. It's almost very scary, to be honest, to think about what you could be calling in, but I'm just gonna try and stay quiet and focus on watching. Wow, dude. Dude, we are so small, man. Not seeing anything yet, though. But I am getting really cold. Lightning detected. It just picked up an EMS signal, or a big static signal. Maybe someone's coming. I do keep feeling like I'm seeing like weird flashes in the sky, and then like out of the corner of my eye, shooting stars, almost like things zigzagging. But nothing yet. Wow. Guys. The light just went out on the car. That was the last light that we had. And I don't think I've ever seen this many stars in my life. Look at this. Like, holy shit, y'all, this is crazy. It's interesting how some of the stars are different colors. That one's very red on here. And how bright they are. Let me see. Wow. That's Roswell. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna just walk for a sec and look over here and see if I see anything. Man, this is making me feel so small and like just grateful to be alive. Like, holy shit, dude. I mean, you can't even see what I'm looking at, really. Let's move this to look over here. Look at that star view, guys. Oh my god. Have you ever seen something like that? That's picking up stuff though. You see that flashing? That's picking up EMF changes. It's a lightning detector. So something is picking up. You can hear the magnetometer and the Gauss meter. Speak with us. Man, it's so dark out here. The cameras aren't even picking it up, but you can see the galaxies, dude. Holy shit. Car's gotta be just about done. Oh look, there's actually a car down there. Wow. That's crazy. Damn, there goes my camera. seen anything yet. How'd it go?
That was one of the fastest I've ever gotten into a meditation.
Really?
It was immediate. I'm excited for you to do it.
Yeah. I didn't see anything. I did get up and walk around though, and it's beautiful, man.
I started feeling almost immediately. I'd say probably 2 minutes in. I don't know how long that meditation is.
About 30 minutes.
Damn. It didn't feel long at all. But it was probably 2 minutes in, I started feeling like I was doing backflips.
Really?
It was almost like my brain was doing backflips, but my body was standing still.
Really? How's that even possible?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
But it was I was sitting here, but my brain was my vision was going but my body felt like it was standing still.
Trippy.
It was really trippy. And then I started feeling I was spinning this way.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to do the CE5 and then you're supposed to see it. So maybe I was just looking prematurely.
Yeah.
And now you can look from a totally different direction, and I'll film.
Could we possibly get in the car for a little bit and blast the heaters?
Sure.
I'm freezing.
Yeah, me too. Alright, so these tones that we're going to play are the CE5 contact tones. So these are supposed to serve as almost like a dog whistle to UFOs, UAPs, extraterrestrial beings. So I'm still going to meditate, but we're going to play these out loud and see if we can draw anything in. Alright.
Super bright star right here. There's two orange stars right next to it.
Oh yeah, I see that. What the is that?
None of the other stars are that color.
Weird. I saw an orange one earlier too.
They just moved further apart too.
God, keep filming it. Keep going. Keep calling it in. Look for a triangle shape. I keep seeing a triangle.
There's a shooting star.
Look for a triangle. And I see an eyeball. I see a V triangle. I see stripes. And a blimp. And for some reason, the word Acha. I felt something standing right over me, like a black cloud.
My God, it's freezing.
I know.
I keep seeing flashing lights.
I kept seeing flashing lights.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be. 'Cause it's not like a shooting star. It's like a star that's just like flashing and then disappearing.
I saw that too. Does make you feel insignificant.
It does indeed. Not necessarily insignificant, but just so small.
Yeah. Hey, look, we're right under the Big Dipper. I never even noticed that. Like right above you.
Oh, shooting star!
Where?
It just went right above my head. Oh, that one had a huge trail.
Do you see any triangles?
I've been looking. Oh my God, my fingers feel like they're gonna fall off.
Do you ever put yours in the gloves and
I
just...
did.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too. I want to see a shooting star.
Is there anybody there? Whatever this cluster of stars is, I'm trying to point it. I get the weirdest vibe from it, whatever it is, whatever that one is. What a bizarre situation we're in right now. What do you think about it? Should we call it?
I think so.
Yeah. So right now we're here at Petroglyph National Monument in Albuquerque, and it's in this area where there are hundreds, if not thousands, of petroglyphs. So carvings and artwork made by the indigenous peoples that used to call this area, I mean, they still call this area home, but you know, this used to be exclusively basically their homeland. And what's interesting here, so we've hiked now a while, and we are not seeing any of the carvings. They're probably right around the corner, but we have a flight to catch, so we're probably gonna head back to our car. But throughout this park, there are tons of carvings and petroglyphs that a lot of people believe show aliens, like hands with 6 fingers, bizarre humanoid figures, just lots of weird stuff. And, you know, it makes a person question, did extraterrestrial intelligence have contact with them? You never know. You see one? Oh shit, yeah, I see him right there. There's a bunch of them right there now, actually. That one's like a humanoid figure. Right, and look at that. See where I'm pointing? There's one on a rock. But I mean, you see that one? He looks like a guy with a backwards snapback. And then underneath that, it's like a humanoid. You can see arms, a head, legs. It's interesting. I didn't know that they had already started by the time we walked in here. It is crazy though to see the carvings of hands with 6 fingers. There's so many of them. It's so interesting, like, why? Why draw the 6 fingers instead of 5? And over and over and over again. Why draw a lot of the things that we're drawing? I mean, there's definitely a lot of mystery there. Wish we could have hiked longer, but I think we got the gist of what we're trying to say. All right. I am officially rolling on all devices. All right, everybody. So I studied CE5 protocols and even looked at groups. And I discovered that amongst those who partake in CE5 in Albuquerque, this is the area where they tend to meet and hold their CE5 sessions. I'm at the base of the mountains here. I think these are all trails. I haven't been out here during the daytime, but for me, I just really want to know. I want to know what's up there. I want to know what's out there. That experience last night outside of Roswell was so powerful that, I don't know, it left me so in awe, especially with what happened this morning with my dream and how I got up and I sealed the window up, and I don't know, it's just I felt weird all day. Today's been a weird day, but regardless, I'm here set up right at the crest, the edge of the hiking trail, because I'm not going to hike at night by myself with all this gear into a mountain in the dark. It's just not going to happen. But I can see the stars really clearly right here, and hopefully in doing this CE5, I'll be able to see something. So, without further ado, I think I'm going to meditate and see if I can see anything. Oh, here comes a vehicle. Right when I said I was going to do that. I don't know who this is or what they're doing while they're coming up here. But, I guess we're going to see. Didn't know this area was popular like this. There they go. Kind of bizarre. I mean, I'm up here alone, so it's kind of scary. But let's try to call these things in.
see this started out at a 23 and it's up to 34, 36, 37, look at that, 39 on the Gauss. And this meter is also picking up clicks. So there appears to be increasing radiation in the area. Will this hit a 40? In that meditation, I was focusing on letting my mental brainwaves flow up into the sky and into the universe to try and call something in. Any intelligences, extraterrestrials, aliens. Come to me and show yourself. Shit. There goes my phone. Okay. Check this out. As I'm done with my meditation, look at this. Down to 14. That's pretty weird, isn't it? Jesus, it's freezing cold. Is there anybody up there? See right there, that is a plane, right? I think that's a plane. Or something regular in the sky. Once again. Wow. Look at the stars. They are so beautiful. You can really see a lot of them with this. A lot of stars that aren't visible to the naked eye. And this, oh, look at that, there's the mountains. Wow, look at the low light. You can really see the mountain. Holy shit, this is crazy, actually. How good of low light this is. Wow. It looks so trippy. Anyways, this is the Big Dipper, I believe. You can't really see it, but yeah, this is definitely a little bit different than ghost hunting because they can't really ask questions or do anything. We just have to sit back and kind of wait, see if anything happens. Let's switch this camera angle up so we can see more of the stars. I'm gonna try to once more telepathically connect or call something in. I'm gonna do the visualizations. Really emotional during that. When the things start clicking. Look, you guys, I have legit tears. I don't know why I just started sobbing. was really strange with the crying. Don't know what that was. Wow. Alright. Let's see if I can see anything. Last night I got tons of messages about triangles, and tonight I'm seeing a bunch of them, but they're weirdly shaped. I don't know what the deal is, but I can't stop focusing on these weird elongated triangles. They're like everywhere. I can really see them. But I'm not seeing any UAPs yet. Wish it wasn't so damn cold. Still not seeing anything. It's crazy how many stars this thing's picking up that are like invisible to the naked eye, to my camera. I don't know. I don't know really what to look for or what to do. But it's been about an hour and I really have to use the bathroom. For some reason, this star's been calling my name. I think it's this one. That one's really bright. I've always loved aliens and alien movies and the X-Files, you know? I'm just the type of person that will do anything to figure out anything. I just want to know. I don't really care how the knowledge is attained. I don't care what I have to do. I just want to know. And I've always loved the desert and the mountains. It really feels so magical. New Mexico, Nevada, Colorado. There's something about these big, dry mountains. I mean, it's just so magical feeling. And the stars. I mean, what's up there? Think about what's up there. There could be skinwalkers The skeletons of giants, aliens buried under rubble. Being out here in these desert areas just makes you feel connected to whatever the is before, whatever the was before me, and whatever the hell is coming after. It's just so beautiful, man. It's so hard to even explain. I could live in a moment like this forever. Silent, on the edge of a city, in the darkness, looking for extraterrestrial life and intelligence. It's just one of those things, man. It's just one of those things. I'm very grateful for it. I've seen so many damn planes. I need to see like a UFO or some shit. I'm gonna have to call it a night soon because I'm starting to get really cold. It's like 30 something degrees out right now. Speaking of the devil, Jesus. You know what? I got one more jacket. I can put on. What's the Close Encounters thing? Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. I saw like a gray alien above me, staring at me. So many planes. There's another one. Look at that. Come on, baby, show me something. Yeah, I'm gonna give this 5 more minutes, and then I'm getting the f out of here. It. Man, look at this weird cloud band that just rolled in. It's so thin. It's just right here. Oh shit! Oh, did I just get a shooting star? What did I just catch on camera? I just caught that on camera. I was looking through the viewfinder. Yeah. What the was that? Oh shit! Oh shit! Shit, that was sick. Alright, folks. So, I made another attempt at UAP CE5. Maybe something? I don't know, I'll have to go check. A little bit of a spike on the radiation. It's been staying around 23. It's at a 24 right now. But it was all the way up to almost 40 for a little bit there. And yeah, I'm really cold. So I'm gonna pack up and go back and take a hot shower. I've loved this though. And at minimum, I feel like this has just connected me and grounded me, connected me to the earth. And we did see the thing right at the very beginning when we weren't trying. And yeah, this has been so interesting. Are UAPs aliens? Are they something from another dimension? Are they angels? Are they demons? I don't really know, I can't tell you, but I'm very excited to continue this study. To speak with more people and work with more experts in this field, because wow, I'm telling you guys, sitting out here alone late at night, staring up at the stars, the cold, chilling your fingers and your toes to the bone, that, I don't know, makes me appreciate being alive, y'all. There are a lot of times in the past when I thought the world would be better off without me, or, you know, no one would really miss me if I checked out of here early. And I know life can be so painful sometimes, and horrific, and hard. A lot of people just don't talk about how hard life is. Sometimes life sucks. It's depressing, it's disappointing, it's infuriating. You make the wrong decision, you do the wrong thing, you lose someone you love, but all that's so insignificant. No matter who's out there, whoever's listening, you matter. You're worth it. And staring up at the stars, sitting here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, is just another reminder for me that every single thing, good or bad, that happens to you, happens for a reason. I was meant to be right here. I don't know why, but I didn't really see that much, but something led me to this moment and this nexus right now in my life. So this is your last chance, UAPs, aliens, extraterrestrials, angels. You up there? Nope. All right. So it's the morning after our UFO experiment. I haven't told Connor this yet, but he just came down and I wanted him to roll on the camera so I could also explain this.
So, did you have any weird dreams last night? In the middle of the night, I fucking woke up, or I thought I woke up, and I saw this, like, it was like blue, I don't even know how to explain it, like, shooting through my window. Like, I'm getting chills. Like, I felt like I woke up and I saw this light, like, coursing through, shining in, and I don't know, it's just like I could feel it, like what I was seeing. And it freaked me out so bad. Like, eventually I woke up and it was like the middle, I think it was like 4 in the morning or some shit like that. But I woke up and I was so freaked. I thought it had been real, but I guess it was a dream. That I actually went in and I left these up here so you can see it. I tried to block my window because there's no shade, but all I could find was these pillows. And I even tried to put this one up there, but it like wouldn't stay up. I couldn't find anything to pull it down because it freaked me out so bad. But I was like laying here and I woke up and it just was like blue light, like strong, like emanating through the thing. And I can't even remember like waking up or anything. It's just kind of like I faded into being awake, but it just freaked me the hell out. It was like really real.
That's pretty freaky, man.
I know. And then I woke up this morning with the nosebleed, but it's really dry out.
Me too.
But I'm telling you, it was a dream, I'm sure, but it was like, it felt like it was real. Like, I felt like I was seeing, like, this light, and then I guess I, like, woke up somewhere in there, but I don't remember, like, waking up. It's just kind of, like, slowly come back to consciousness. Yeah. And then I came out here, and I was looking everywhere for something I could put in my window.
Nothing.
There's nothing. And then, look, I came over here, and I was like, oh, perfect. This will go perfect. No, it's like sewn into the couch. But nothing for you.
No, nothing for me. The second I hit the bed, I was out cold.
Yeah, me too.
I was tired.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Well, lunchtime.
Lunchtime.
All right, that is freaky though, man. I'm telling you.
Whatever happened in Roswell was not an anomaly. It was a part of a larger pattern. There are dozens of allegedly documented UFO crashes that have occurred worldwide. And at the end of this documentary, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Why do we still not know the full truth about what happened in Roswell in 1947? How many times has this happened? Do they really expect us to believe that we are alone in the universe? And if we aren't alone, what's out there? After all, just like you, I want to believe. And once you begin seeing it for yourself, you'll find it impossible not to. There are so many questions that I think humanity deserves answers to. But the biggest one on my mind right now is this: when did they first visit us? What did they want? And when will they be back? Maybe one day we'll be provided with those answers. But until then, we, as humans, have to keep questioning, keep pushing for the truth, and hoping that good prevails. I'll leave you all tonight with a quote from science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke. 2 possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe, or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. Thanks for joining us this week, folks, and good night.
Hello.